time to get geeked up.
But of course, this has been the year too, where me and Liam haven't done a show together since March, except via Zoom. I mean, we're talking coronavirus. Was a really big story. I don't know if anyone else heard about it, but we covered it a lot here on the old show.
I know, thanks to us, the geeks know about COVID, because they really would be in the dark if it wasn't for the Geeked Up Podcast on our Corona-ville news.
Course, that was the birth of life in Corona-ville here in the Geeked Up Podcast world, and. It's been a lot of up and downs, be it from the initial lockdowns and the shutdown in New York and the whole world, actually, no restaurants, movie theaters, sporting events, everything done, shut down.
Boom.
And then
exit 86 off the menu.
Summer, at least in New York, we started opening up a bit more. Outside dining, 25% capacity. If you were the morons in Florida, I think this probably started for you in January, March, April.
Yeah, if you're the governor of Florida, it never stopped. Or Vegas. It's never stopped, actually.
So that
or
was
the WWF, rather.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it to them, man. The only sports that never stopped once, if you want to call it that. The only theater that never stopped too. You know what I mean? Broadway shut down, but not the WWE, baby.
It's the only sports, the only entertainment, the only sports entertainment.
Yeah, honestly. And now I guess here we're kind of back to shutdowns again. The holidays and the election brought out a lot of people mingling together, spikes here in New York at least. So
and with more holidays coming up, with Christmas, I think they're trying to, be extra cautious before Christmas. So they're trying to start some lockdowns and really start some precautionary tactics before Christmas, just so there's not huge spikes after Christmas and New Year's. Like if it's a green light right now until the first week of January, it might be too late to catch up. So I feel right now a lot of these lockdowns, at least locally in New York, are kind of a more precautionary. Let's not go crazy for the holidays. Let's still remember this is a big issue going on. So as a month from now, it's not a huge disaster, but...
Exactly. And the thing is, too, we've talked about it, but the light at the end of the tunnel is here because the vaccinations have started shipping out. People have been getting vaccinated.
Yeah, that's another thing we've really come full circle with in a lot of ways. Well, I guess not necessarily full circle to all the way back to lockdowns. But when we started off, there was, very little hope for a vaccine anytime soon. A lot of the early talks were that there would be no possible chance of getting a vaccine, especially started to roll out to the public within the next couple years. A lot of people were saying 2022 before any realistic chances of actually having large-scale vaccination rollouts and all that kind of stuff. And literally when it all started, they were the first thing that they told us was just cover your mouth when you sneeze and wash your hands a lot. Other than that, we don't really got much for you. So really, and there was so many, it was such a crazy whirlwind of information where every literally hour to hour in those first couple weeks, but week to week, month to month, season to season, it's just been a totally fresh fucking set of rules to play with and information to deal with. So, and a lot of us and a lot of people are refusing to believe that information. So,
correct, very true. But it wasn't all bad though. I mean, no, it was pretty shitty. But we did get very different entertainment though, especially I would say at the beginning of Corona-ville, where people and shows and late night shows were just getting a little more creative with how do we keep entertainment going.
Where we hadn't heard of Zoom yet.
Correct.
Literally three words that I learned literally within maybe 2 weeks of each other, but coronavirus, Zoom, and TikTok. I guess words are a stretch, but three concepts I had fucking totally foreign to. Within 2 weeks changed my life. But coronavirus is not a thing.
Another one would be Fauci. Would be another word
yes.
I learned pretty quick.
And a couple months later, Kornowski or whatever the fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Dude, now he's doing fucking Monday Night Football somehow. He's fucking... My mom was literally telling me that Kornowski thought the Giants weren't going to make the playoffs. I was going, the guy from fucking MSNBC? Told you that?
But, like Liam said, though, one of the big first things that was happening, virally on the same night was I was watching, the comedians for everyone get together, where it was like this 6-hour live just Zoom where like all these comics from around the world were coming on, doing time, doing bits, just doing interviews. But Liam at the time, I think, was watching WrestleMania. Was also
okay. You're right. That was the same. Played. That was the first night of WrestleMania. Which was another great the free WrestleMania. I mean, I guess it's not all bad coronavirus, but yeah, you're right. I was the Saturday night, but that was definitely the kickoff for any of those, especially those like virtual festival kind of things that have become real popular. As for me, I spent most of my summer watching the music kind of webcast full streams like that. But this was the first one, so lots of confusion and technical difficulties. Tom Papa not knowing what the fuck he's doing in his kitchen, just super uncomfortable and like not funny.
Well, then of course there was the Willie Nelson 420 viral show, dude,
pure gold for like 10 hours.
Amazing.
Still one of the highlights of the year will go down as Willie Nelson all stoned trying to watch a magician over Zoom like do card tricks for him, and him all confused like, oh yeah, I guess that is my card, like shit. All right, anyway, now we're my son's gonna play a tune. It's fucking amazing.
The late night shows all were canceled at first, and then Kimmel, Fallon, Corbell. I can't say his last name. Stephen Colbert. Thank you.
Because we tried to fucking scrap it out of our minds because of that.
Yeah, honestly.
But it was fun at first because I think Colbert, especially, and I guess maybe all of them, but they were all going from their house because Kimmel was definitely in his like kitchen, and Fallon was up in his attic, and like.
I think Fallon was in his like mansion in Long Island. Was like, I was like, that doesn't look like Gramercy Park to me. But so they were all. You're right, doing it from their homes, doing it on Zoom. Meanwhile, poor Skype this whole time had been like, hey guys, what the fuck? We've had this technology for years.
Great call. I mean, how did Zoom just like fucking totally, even like Google Video and others have tried, and the entire public were like, excuse me, we've been working well with Zoom for the last 3 weeks. I don't think we need to try anything. Like, just
came out of nowhere,
immediately just took over the whole. But they've been doing an amazing job. They haven't failed us yet.
Yeah, exactly.
We've literally had more problems like getting too drunk and like having too much fun in my apartment to like finish off an episode. Like get fucking Dennis and you over here and Andy and like let's just finish recording tomorrow. Over Zoom, there's been no excuses, no fucking bailouts.
That's true. I think another one though that really did it interesting on Zoom, which I thought it was going to be kind of weird to pull off, but I think they really did it. Was SNL did those Zoom episodes. Which was
great call.
Kind of like a crazy concept in as, it's like a live studio sketch show. I was like, how is this really going to work?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, they were all Zoom bits.
But at the time, it was good enough. You know what I mean? Because A, it was something new. But B, we were also like, Zoom was such a new big part of our lives that it was like about time somebody skewered all of the difficulties with chatting with your fucking, coworkers online and all. But another great kind of virtual Zoom thing like that to come, just like straight from the entertainment world. But a lot of the celebrity reunions, like the whole Josh Gad series, most recently with Wayne's World. But I think it kicked off with Goonies and just all sorts of like great nostalgia-based movies where he was getting the whole cast back together, and those have been great.
Krasinski and his Good News Network, making those tearjerker episodes were always pretty great, entertaining. And then he, quote unquote, sold out and sold it for like $30 million. It was like easiest money ever made.
Just the concept of positivity. Yeah, sure, I'll cash in on that and fucking.
Yeah, we're still waiting for our holdout, dude. Don't worry.
For from the music world as well, tons like we mentioned with the Willie Nelson, which was of course a variety webcast for his birthday and for the benefit of legalization of marijuana. But however, there has been a lot of great music, webcasts, and the music industry has done a great job keeping the fun going, especially over the summer where there was all sorts. Pretty much every night there was a different, pretty much my summer was Umphreys on Monday, J-Rad and Fish on Tuesdays, Tedeschi Trucks on Thursdays, String Cheese on Fridays, Widespread on Sundays, Blue Note was doing free streams pretty much every night, and then all sorts of that was literally for a couple months, all of those bands just doing free streams every single week of archived footage and whatnot. But then there's been all sorts of the festival things, like the Quarantine and Justice Comes Alive, where it was 12 hours, hundreds of artists doing couple of minute bits and covers and archived footage and new streaming Zoom performances and just all sorts of great music output as well. If you were bummed that you couldn't be at the live shows, it's been really, really just amazing seeing especially comedy. It kind of makes sense to you can see how you get 5 funny people on Zoom and make the magic happen. But when there's literally a fucking drummer in Tennessee and a bass player in New York City and a singer in Los Angeles all doing harmony over, it's fucking amazing. Just the technology and all that, you know what I mean? And cool to watch from that, from the music industry.
And not even just the Zoom stuff, but just kind of the innovation of how we get live entertainment. Sports slowly started coming back, either be empty stadiums or fans in them. But even then, concerts have done the distancing thing live. I think when it first started, that country music asshole had a big country concert, and all those rednecks were piled on top of each other you fucking morons.
Yeah.
But there's been just recently on HBO Max, Colin Quinn has that parking lot comedy show, where it's him and a bunch of comics, and they're doing it in front of a drive-in movie theater, but people are all in their cars watching it. It's pretty hilarious because Rich Voss is the first comic, and he just eats shit because you can't tell if anyone's laughing or not because they're all in their cars. And then the second comic is the smart enough one to be hey, if you guys are laughing or liking these jokes, flash your lights or honk your horns. You know what I mean?
I see.
So the first person goes out is Rich Voss, and it's just hilarious because him just
Dude, I've got to watch. I've heard about this tour. I didn't know that HBO Max was fucking televising it.
Yeah. So it's a pretty amazing watch, dude.
Huge year for Colin Quinn by the year. As when we talk about our Man of the Year and the awards later, but he's got a book, a special, a TV show.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I think he finally appeared in one of these Sandlem. Oh, he did. He was in Hubie Halloween.
Yeah, he was the best cameo ever.
Best cameo in Hubie Halloween. But I didn't talk about it. I don't think on this show, because it was right on Halloween, and we kind of we took some time off between the Halloween and the election and all for our election special and then whatnot. But I actually went to a drive-in concert as well, and it was a really cool, definitely much more logical, kind of like the Zoom music on Zoom. Comedy at a drive-in does not fit as well as music at a drive-in, much like comedy on Zoom works better than music on Zoom, you'd imagine. But the concert, the outdoor concert, socially distant drive-in concert was a fucking super, super cool experience. They gave you a parking spot to park in, and then next to it was an empty parking spot for you and your group to set up chairs and kind of tailgate. And so you were totally socially distanced from all the other guests, but they were holding them in fairgrounds where were big enough where you could get easily a couple hundred people to be close enough to a stage where you don't feel like you're fucking a mile and a half away, but also you can all be totally safely distanced and all from each other. So it was really, really cool for just the safety and the future, or hopefully not too much of a future, but just for the time anyway. It really felt safe and responsible, but as well just an amazing experience from going to a concert literally the Tuesday before all of this shut down, and then waiting 7 months later till Halloween was super cool just to be seeing live music again, but also in a safe, fun environment. So great experience. If that's what we have to do coming up this summer, it would not be the worst thing in the world. So
absolutely. No, I wouldn't at all. So,
and like you said,
like what you're saying, just different ways, the innovative ways we found to make entertainment happen.
Yeah, for
Zoom
sure.
Or live.
I started watching baseball. I started watching Korean baseball. I mean, it was a crazy fucking year. It was.
Yeah, no, exactly. Let's go the Sangchai Eagles. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, exactly. You were an Eagles.
I was rooting for it.
There was a Giants in there too, wasn't it? I mean, we had we got to keep our natural rivalries. I mean,
pretty great. But so that was just kind of a breakdown of looking back of what we've been doing, everything that's been going on in Corona-ville. Of course, before we kick this show really off and talk about some of our favorite things, let's really take it down a moment, because what's a year in review without a big long RIP list of everyone we've lost this year? Originally, we wanted Andre Davi and Piss Mob to be covering Bone Thugs' "See You at the Crossroads" for this, but we couldn't get the rights. So you're just gonna have to imagine it.
Crossroads.
I
mean, if there ever was like a missing Bone Thug in harmony, it'd be fucking Davi. I mean,
no doubt,
like
dude.
Honestly, from the look to the musical styling, if there was ever a,
that's very true.
it really. I mean, now that we bring it up, it really actually.
And how do we get them in? Like, do they still hold like all the auditions? Are you auditioning for Bone or
judging
Thug?
by the dirt? I think I've seen how this works. We show up, we get chicks swooning over Davi, and we bring them to Tommy Lee, and the rest will work itself out.
And the rest will just work itself out. But I'm just going to run through a quick list, and then I'll allow Liam to add like 47 wrestlers at the end
as
of
always,
it.
we let Devin handle the real celebrities. I'll take care of all the wrestlers afterwards.
And I'm just going to – there's only two who I feel like I need to mention.
But
like,
no, I mean, in all
actually...
honesty, though, like every year, of course, there's lots of big RIPs. But this year, honestly, some huge names, as well as like some real untimely and real tragic, from just the – age and whatnot, but really just a crazy year for RIPs. Not even COVID related for the
no. Just that 2020 is the year from hell. Is what it is. And I guess the only two I'll mention like who they were is because the names might not be recognizable names, but the most recent one is Jeremy Bullock, who was the original Boba Fett in the original Star Wars movie.
Jesus.
He just died like 2 days ago.
Dennis was just getting over the fucking dude from Darth Vader costume.
Then David Prowse would be the other one I want to mention, who was the guy in Darth Vader's costume. He just passed away. Darth passed away from COVID. Jeremy Bullock was just 75, I think he was just an old guy.
I see.
But then just to run through the list of just other celebrities we've lost, Alex Trebek, of course, Sean Connery, Eddie Van Halen, RBG, Little Richard, Regis Philbin, Wilford Brimley, Jerry Stiller, Fred Willard, James Lipton, and of course the two biggest ones, I would say, Chadwick Boseman, and then, of course, the original one that really kicked off 2020, just kind of giving us a foreshadow of what a shitty year this is going to be. But Kobe Bryant, of course, was it feels like years ago that happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
but that was
the
kickoff of 2020, Kobe Bryant. So
that really was, honestly, it is crazy how long ago it was, but that really was like a almost a national tragedy when that happened. Like, that impacted so many people beyond the sports world, you know what I mean? Just like, it was really just such a crazy way to kick off the year, like you said, and then only downhill from there.
Especially poor old Ari Shaffar. He really
I know. I guess we can add Ari Shaffir's career to the RIP list. Not even Joe Rogan can fucking save him. But yeah, and then of course Chadwick Boseman, the little bit more from the geeked world, of course, with his, as Evenwell from Defy Bloods from the Netflix and chat earlier this year.
I feel like his was just as shocking as Kobe Bryant's. I mean, obviously Kobe Bryant's was a tragedy because it was like a helicopter accident, but it's just the fact that Chadwick Boseman kept it so quiet that nobody knew he was sick at all, and then it was sudden like he's dead from cancer. Like, what the fuck? Did he die from cancer?
And I think that it would be. I think that we would do Kobe proud by ranking which one's more tragic in a head-on-head way. I think Kobe would appreciate the competitive nature of deciding which one's more tragic. But I'm going Boseman, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he's still in the middle of his playing career, so to speak, where at least Kobe was retired at this point. You know what I mean? And it's like super tragic.
But you have to remember that like his kid died with him. I'm gonna have to say Kobe's probably. The more tragic. There was kids involved,
Okay, good call.
Black Panther died, not all of Wakanda.
All right, that's a good call. Have fucking pilot, another family, and all that shit. That all totally got overshadowed. And then my one friend texted me that Rick Fox, the fucking NBA player, was on the plane. So I had to Google that for fucking 45 minutes. And
Rich Voss?
But So yeah, you're right. Maybe I guess from that standpoint, I guess Kobe wins as always. Yeah. Mamba mentality prevails. Kobe is indeed the most tragic. I guess until we get to the wrestlers though, because maybe some of these guys can give him a what's up?
Strong third, Little Richard, I'd say. Yeah. Little Richard's one of those people though that come down and do it. I'm just joking about Little Richard because Little Richard's one of those people where it's just like, oh no shit, he was still alive.
Yeah, I guess he is from the Jerry Stiller. I thought he died. Fucking
yeah, exactly. Jerry Stiller, another one.
But right, like Trebek was kind of long time coming.
I guess Eddie Van Halen was for the music world was a huge one
for sure.
You know?
I personally have for years ranked Van Halen most overrated band, and had many barroom arguments about what a douche Eddie Van Halen is.
I could totally see that, man. That's just like a generation of music that, like, you know, like Van Halen's always ranked as like the super hardcore like rock band, but again, I'm kind of like you. I just think of him as a cheesy kind of '80s hair band, like, dude.
Yep. And
if David Lee Roth is involved with you at all, dude, fucking.
Huh?
What? I said, is David Lee Roth is involved with you at all?
But I think that's like I don't think that he wasn't part of like the initial Van Halen group that made Van Halen and whatnot. But so I think that me and you definitely suffer from like, you know what I mean? I don't know what a good example would be, but like we're not looking at the right era of we're not judging it based on like the right era. We're judging Star Wars based on the fucking the episodes 1, 2, and 3 that came out in the late 90s. You know what I mean? It'd be like Star Wars blows. What's up with that? Yeah. But even that to be said, dude, like when I listened like the OG Van Halen, just like that kind of slashing, not like slashing metal, but just that like really fast pace. That's just Aerosmith from the same kind of era. Like I just don't really like that sound of like that rock and roll kind of sound. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit more
I totally get it.
70s rock and roll than that 80s kind of rock and roll. But Eddie Van Halen definitely from the music world was like probably the biggest name and the most. But Little Richard as well, though, huge impact on music history. However, a little bit older. However, we got some wrestlers too while they're on there. But for the wrestling, actually not that crazy of a year. I guess the real headliner would be Kamala. Just days before Kamala Harris shocked the world by becoming the first female vice president. I guess, selected at that point because I think when he died over the summer when Biden like appointed her the vice presidential candidate or whatever you call him. But Kamala, the hilariously racist stereotype of an African savage, died only days before that, as well as the Legion of Doom Animal, like everybody's favorite as a kid. He died. The Rocky Johnson, The Rock's dad, who was like an innovative wrestler, he passed away. And then there were a couple. Tiny Zeus Lister, I guess.
Yes,
I'm claiming him as a wrestler. You could have put him in there from in the tragic actors as well.
That, but yes, I screwed up. How could I forget Zeus?
A buzzer beater here. But I'm taking him as a wrestler anyway. I mean, like, no holds barred. He's for me, he's always going to be the dude that fucking lost to Hogan and Beefcake at SummerSlam 1990. But
everybody can untuck their chains now, and
dude. By the way, I love like what like a cultural phenomenon Friday actually is, because even I think it was earlier this year that Craig's dad from Friday died. Was that this year or last year?
Yeah.
John Witherspoon. But that was another one where it was like fucking the like ABC nightly news was just like, and sad news, Craig's dad from Friday passed away. And same thing with Zeus. It's just like, how the fuck is Zeus was like people were fucking devastated. Like all over line. Yeah. I was like, how am I not the only one that's fucking broken up about this news? Like,
that's one of those things that we've kind of talked about before too, when the whole Tracy Morgan car accident happened. Just like this shocking like outpour of celebrities that were like rooting for Tracy Morgan, but it's like you kind of brought my point. He's like, dude, it's not like he's a huge movie star or anything. Like he was on a couple TV shows and SNL, and you're like, dude, you're right. But like everybody was like rooting for fucking the reemergence of Tracy Morgan. It was like, all right, like I'm on board with this.
Yeah, for sure. But,
and then I think his first appearance too, not to go too far back, is when he like came out and was like, I'm just fucking around, I'm fine. It was
And talk about a guy that has never had his like cancel culture. Like nobody's ever looked into his back fucking catalog. Poor Kevin Hart.
His whole like style of humor is fucking cancel culture.
I know. But Yeah, and there were, I guess, two of the more sad wrestlers, like the more active wrestlers. The guy Shad Gaspard and Hana Kimura were both like younger active wrestlers that both died in like crazy, tragic, non-wrestling death fashions and whatnot. But all in all, compared to like the real world, the professional wrestling world was not hit as hard as the general entertainment which, like we said, lost some real headline names.
I would say, to me, out of the wrestlers though, Kamala would probably be the biggest RIP to me, just because I'm pretty sure he was on our Hulk Hogan list of guys he wouldn't want his daughter to date.
Yes, I could definitely see that.
There was Coco Beware and Kamala.
I mean, just honestly, do yourself a favor right now and Google Kamala wrestler under your own and just fucking like, and just try to like keep your head together. That fucking 10 years ago, that was like an actual wrestling angle. And don't fucking don't spill the beans on Vince, because talk about cancel culture.
Too funny.
And that guy probably like sued Vince as well, because a lot of these guys then sue Vince. I'm like, no, I wasn't like choosing to play a sneaky Japanese fucking bad guy. Like, I'm from Hawaii, and that's what he made me do. like threatening my children's life. If you want your kids to get in this town, you'll get out there wearing the kimono. God damn it! I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Ooh, baby, it's time to